Today, we're diving into a romantic flick from 2019 that really shows how meeting the right person can flip your life upside down. It's all about how someone can challenge your old beliefs and help you see things differently. So today's movie is about After, which is based on the book series by Anna Todd. The sequel is out now too, and we'll cover that when it's available. Let's jump into the story. We see Tessa finishing up high school and getting ready to head to college in a new city. Her mom isn't too thrilled about it, but she's trying to support her. Tessa mentions she has a boyfriend, and both her mom and boyfriend take her to her new college dorm. When her mom sees the room, she freaks out, thinking it's not a good environment. She worries that Tessa might get into trouble and insists on switching rooms. Tessa pleads with her, promising she won't do anything wrong. Her mom emphasizes that studies should be her priority, and then she leaves. Tessa's boyfriend is anxious too, wondering how this will affect their relationship. Later, Tessa's friend comes by and asks if she wants to hang out, but Tessa declines, saying she's stressed and has a ton of books to read. Her friend teases her about bringing so many books, but Tessa just loves reading. She's feeling pretty good about herself. The next time she heads to class, she makes a new friend. She's been to London for her economics course, and while she can read English just fine, she knows that just studying English won't land her a solid job. That's why she's aiming for financial stability through economics. Later that night, she's in her room after a shower and is startled to find Hardin sitting there. She asks him what he's doing and tells him to leave, but he's actually her roommate's friend. She insists he should go. It turns out her roommate has a boyfriend, but she claims they're just friends. Both of them are planning to hit a party at Hardin and Tessa's place, but Tessa isn't interested in going. Hardin encourages her to join, and while she's at the party, she's buried in a book called I Can't Imagine You. Hardin notices her and walks away, clearly unimpressed. Tessa studies hard and often watches her friends enjoy parties while she stays focused. One day, a friend approaches her, insisting she come to a party. Tessa reluctantly agrees and gets ready. At the party, she finds herself sitting with her friends, sipping drinks. They even pull her into a little game. It's a truth or dare game, and when it's her turn, she asks a girl to share a place where she might have gotten intimate, making everyone a bit uncomfortable. The girl admits she's never been intimate with anyone. Then someone dares Tessa to kiss Hardin, but he refuses to participate in the game and leaves. Shortly after, she gets a call from her boyfriend. She was meant to chat with him today, but instead she ended up at a party, which is why they missed their talk. Her boyfriend hears the party noise and starts to question her. He asks if she's had any drinks, and he's pretty straightforward about everything. This makes him angry, leading to a fight between them. To escape the tension, she heads to an upstairs room filled with books she loves. Anyone who reads there shares her taste, and when Hardini enters, Hardin confronts her about being in his space. She's holding one of his notes, and when she asks if he's drunk, he insists he doesn't drink like she does. Hardin gets closer and teases her about still being in the game, mentioning that they haven't fully sorted out their feelings for each other. Just as they're about to kiss, Tessa interrupts, saying it's wrong, and walks away, even though she's really drawn to Hardin. The next day in literature class, Tessa and Hardin find themselves sitting next to each other, discussing Pride and Prejudice, a romantic novel. When the conversation kicks off, Hardin reveals he doesn't believe in love, but he feels differently about Bailey. It's interesting to see both of their perspectives on the topic. She hangs out with her friend London and mentions how he's such a typical guy. Turns out London and Hardin are actually related, and with a little help from Hardin's dad, they're planning to tie the knot. This means they could end up being brothers. We find out that Hardin is the Chancellor's son. Later, she's out with her friend who's getting a tattoo. Her friend suggests she should get one too, but she worries that her mom would freak out if she found out. Her mom has always been the one to plan her life, even picking her boyfriend, which drives her nuts, but she goes along with it. Next, they're at a cafe where Hardin shows up again. He introduces himself as her roommate's friend and insists they'll meet again so she can't just ignore him. He wants to be friends and offers to show her a cool spot. She hesitates, but eventually agrees. He takes her to a beautiful jungle where they stroll around. Hardin takes off his shirt and jumps into the water, calling her to join. She's hesitant at first because she doesn't have a swimsuit, But he tells her she can wear his shirt. Once they're in the water, she asks Hardin who he loves the most. He cheekily replies that he loves himself the most. Then he asks about her boyfriend, Noah, and she describes him as really nice. Hardin rolls his eyes, saying Noah is just a boring version of nice. They both dive underwater, and when they come up, Hardin remarks on the peaceful silence, saying it's the most serene feeling ever. They both move in closer and say, "You said we'd just be friends, and every day you insist we'll never be friends?" Then he kisses the other person right there, steps off the bridge, and starts touching her. But just moments later, he pulls back, and she asks why he stopped. He replies that they have plenty of time and wants to take things slow. After that, they head to a restaurant and chat a lot. She questions why he doesn't trust people, and he brushes it off. She reminds him that he mentioned in class he doesn't believe in love, and he retorts that she doesn't want to believe anything he says, making things a bit awkward. She decides to pull him away from the situation. As she watches him walk off, she starts to worry. He reassures her that it's nothing serious. It happens all of the time. She confides that she's thinking of breaking up with her boyfriend, but feels cheating would be wrong. He bluntly states he's not looking to marry her, doesn't believe in dating, and gets really upset, leaving her alone at night. Later, she dreams about Hardin again. Then Tessa's boyfriend shows up, and she's thrilled to see him. That night, there's a wild party in the forest. Tessa and her boyfriend join in, and everyone starts playing games. Hardin is there, too, and when a guy misbehaves with Tessa, he gets furious and confronts him. Later, Tessa's boyfriend stays with her for the night. Meanwhile, Tessa gets a message from her friend, London, who lives with Hardin. Today, Hardin had a huge fight with his dad, leaving him really hurt. So London invites Thrasher over to talk, filling him in on the whole situation with Hardin and his father. Tessa's name popped up when everything went down. Hardy's had too much to drink, and in a fit of anger, Hardin smashes a liquor bottle. When Tessa tries to pick up the pieces, she cuts her hand, and Hardin jumps in to help her. He's acting all apologetic, saying he's sorry for everything he did and admitting he was wrong about not dating. But now that he's met Tessa, he's all about Tessa. They share a kiss and fall asleep. The next morning, Tessa wakes up to a bunch of missed calls from her boyfriend. When she finally talks to him, he asks where she disappeared to last night. She tells him a friend needed help, and he wants to know who that friend is. They end up arguing, and her boyfriend storms off. After breaking up with her boyfriend, Tessa feels terrible and isolates herself for a couple of days. Eventually, she toughens up and goes to see Hardin. They chat on the rooftop, and Tessa tells him he was a great friend. But he means so much more to her now. They start hanging out more, exploring different places together. One day, while hiding in the library after hours, Hardin reads a romantic book to Tessa, and their relationship really starts to blossom. One day, Tessa and Hardin are getting cozy in Tessa's room when Tessa's mom walks in. She's there to help Tessa out, but instead, she finds them together. Tessa's mom thinks there's a misunderstanding and tells her to break things off with Hardin right away, which he reluctantly agrees to. Tessa tries to reason with her mom, saying that if she doesn't back off, she'll cut off all her financial support, but Tessa isn't ready to give up on Hardin just yet. The next day, Tessa takes Hardin to a place she claims belongs to her dad's friend, an artist who lives abroad and rarely visits. Hardin is surprised when she suggests they could stay there. He mentions that he heard Tessa's mom won't support her anymore, which makes him want to step up even more. They both feel good about their relationship, and Tessa is thrilled. They spend time together, reading romantic stories, watching sunsets, and exploring new places. One day, while at an aquarium, Hardin expresses how lucky he feels to have Tessa in his life, even doubting he deserves her. She reassures him that he absolutely does. As time goes on, Tessa's dad is planning a big wedding, and Hardin feels a bit down about it but knows he needs to be there for support. At the wedding, Tessa's mom meets Hardin's dad, and they strike up a conversation. Hardin's dad learns that Tessa is studying economics, but is really passionate about literature. He offers her a potential job at a friend's publishing company, which makes her feel really good about her future. They all gather around the dinner table, and Hardin's dad starts talking. He mentions how his life has been full of problems, but everything changed when he met his new wife. Now he feels like he's found a fresh perspective on life and sees something positive in every day. This really ticks him off, though, because he recalls how his own dad used to drink and wasn't a good father to him. He questions how his dad can suddenly act like a changed man. They share a dance, and later that night, they get intimate for the first time. The next scene shifts to college, where a girl named Molly, who's a friend of Hardin, comes looking for him. She mentions that her boyfriend is MIA, and it turns out she's been hearing about Hardin and Tessa's relationship. She claims she broke up with her boyfriend, and then Malik finds out about Hardin and Tessa, too. They have a pretty awkward chat. Meanwhile, Tessa is at home getting messages on her phone and asking Hardin to call her, but she hasn't responded yet. When Hardin doesn't come home that night, she starts to worry. She meets up with a friend to ask about him, and he gives her Hardin's location. She ends up going to a restaurant where Hardin's friends are hanging out, trying to figure out what's going on. They ask questions like, "She says you're not in your hostel room, so where are you staying?" Malik and Hardin are in a different place in their relationship, and hearing this hits Malik hard because she's always had feelings for Hardin. Malvi spills the whole truth to Tessa, saying that the night they left, she had gone, and they gave Hardin a heads up. Hardin wants to chase after her, but she's not in the mood to talk. He realizes he made this mess before he even knew her. He wants to express his love for her, but Tessa walks away, washes her hands, and heads home, apologizing to her mom for always needing Tessa's help. Her mom feels bad and says something similar. Then she mentions she's going to see her boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend says he knows she wouldn't hurt him, and he's forgiven her. He explains that as we grow, we learn more about ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. They end up becoming good friends again, and if they want to pursue something in publishing, they apply to the company that Hardin's dad mentioned and get selected. She heads to her college as the year wraps up, and in her Hindi literature class, everyone has to write essays. She pens a heartfelt letter and hands it to her teacher. After reading it, Tessa takes it to the spot where Hardin first brought her. And once there, she starts diving into related readings. In the letter, Hardin shares that he's read tons of romantic novels, all claiming that life isn't complete without love. He used to think that was nonsense, but meeting her changed everything. He felt lost until she came along and guided him to clarity. He reflects on his identity and realizes he knows who he can truly love for the long haul. He loves Tessa more than himself and apologizes to her. Tessa finds herself falling for him, and Hardin returns to her. She forgives him, and that wraps up the movie. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. To see more movies like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.